All right, well, we're really excited about this segment. So we're going to introduce our segment, and then Pharaoh's going to tell us about the rules.
I am?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hey, do we have that awesome artwork from Jeff?
It's on its way.
It's on its way? Oh, okay. All right, so am I going to read the rules now? All right, let me see if I can...
Well, let him do the video, and then you can read the rules.
Okay.
Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated match in the history of professional wrestling for the heavyweight championship of the world. Are you ready? Wrestling fans, are you ready?
All right, brother, head to head. Pharaoh, what are the rules?
Wait a minute, did I just hear Michael Buffer? Like off in the distance?
Yes, you did.
Okay, all right, well, let's have at it here. These, the rules for head-to-head are the following. This is based on the following five criteria items. Number one, mic skills. That should be self-explanatory, I would think. Do you want to debate what this means to the audience? They should understand what that means,
right? They should, but if we need clarity, it's use of the stick, right? Interviews
use of the stick.
Or whatever you got going on.
Right. How do you talk? Are you good at it? Yada, yada, yada. Okay.
By the way, people are picking Tolos. We'll see.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, number two, mat skills. That should be self-explanatory.
Again, true wrestling ability.
Right. Very good. Are you Bret Hart or are you serviceable? Are you John Cena or are you even worse?
Are you Bret Hart or are you...
Steve King?
Steve King, yeah.
Steve King. Next. Okay, number three, your overall... This is an interesting one. I like this. Your overall influence on the industry. What have you done to change the business, or what have you done to forward it, or, what kind of impact have you had on it, right? That's basically what we're getting at here.
So you might not be the greatest technical wrestler.
Right. This actually can have nothing to do with that, to tell you the truth.
But, like, for example...
Hulk Hogan, look at the influence he had on the industry. He's not Bret Hart.
Or the NWO as a faction, right?
Right.
They had an influence on the industry.
They sure did. They sure did. Okay, here's my personal favorite, because this is where the nerd factor comes in for me. The back of the baseball card. This is where we're talking about championships, resume, how many belts you've won, if you've been a Money in the Bank winner, if you've won the Royal Rumble, things like that.
NWA champion.
NWA champion, or back in the territorial days, if you dominated a region, blah, blah, blah. These are the back of the baseball card.
Okay.
And then number five, that indescribable thing that you usually feel when you're watching and you get what they call the it factor from a wrestler. Does he have that it factor? Is there something that draws you to the TV to want to see this guy?
So I'll use something as an it factor. If anyone watched that great true documentary on Andre the Giant that HBO put out.
Okay.
At some point, they start showing clips of other wrestlers. And for a non-wrestler, superstar Billy Graham is posing. And my wife, who's not a big wrestling fan, instantly said,
"Who's that?
Who's that?"
It factor.
It factor.
Yeah.
Right?
It factor. He sure had it.
All right, well, let's talk about contestant number one, John Tolos. Pharaoh, take it away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, John Tolos. During the 1950s and 60s, Tolos was part of the Canadian wrecking crew with his brother Chris Tolos. On December 28th, 1963, John and Chris captured the WWF United States Tag Team Championship in 2 straight falls over, by the way, their opponents that night that they took the belts from were Gorilla Monsoon and Killer Kowalski.
Wow.
Yeah. While both teams were heels at the time, that's interesting too. We probably would have loved that.
That would have been great.
Heels head to head. They were, the Tolos brothers did a television interview prior to the title match looking forward to seeing all of their fans in Teaneck. That night, they were actually cheered throughout. Very interesting.
Oh, man, a lot of people voting for Tolos right now, my friend.
I love John Tolos growing up. I thought that this would be interesting. I hope everyone hears us out, too, because this is going to be interesting. Tolos also engaged, and this is another huge portion of his career, where he engaged in a very long-time rivalry with Classy Fred Blassie over in the Los Angeles territory. Now, of course, this is where I was tuning in on UHF, Channel 41 from Patterson, New Jersey to watch Lucha Libre de Profesional, and I saw a lot from the Olympic Auditorium with the great Jimmy Lennon as the announcer, and man, oh man, did I love that show. But anyway...
Adrian Street was on in
He
California,
was,
right?
he was, and he was big time. So was Johnny Rods as...
Absolutely.
There you go. They would feud over the NWA America's Championship, Tolos and Blassie, and understand this is the territory days, so this is when this belt was kind of like the equivalent to, the United States champion or the champion of that area, and they just fought and fought and fought over
Equivalent
this belt.
to the WWF title?
No, but I would say equivalent to like an intercontinental level at least.
Understood.
The America's Championship. It wasn't the world title, but it was very important during the territory days for that territory, and that territory was Los Angeles, which was drawing 20,000 plus when Tolos and Blassie would fight each other. Tolos did a lot of other strange things later on after his career was winding down. He wound up actually doing some work with Herb Abrams, who I find to be very fascinating.
Our very own Sunny Beach.
Yep, very true. Sunny Beach
Right.
from UW, absolutely from UWF.
You can catch Sunny Beach in studio on former episodes of Monty and Pharaoh,
Absolutely,
along with his partner Steve Ray.
absolutely. This is where, and I actually caught Tolos towards the end of his career, and I loved him. I thought he was a very engaging bad guy. He kept me glued to that program. He was the heel when I was watching that show from Los Angeles over those couple of years. Very fond memories watching him. Of course, later on in his career, and I looked this up, and I know how much you love Coach. Poor John Tolos is asked to come to the WWF and do this role of Coach, where he
Well,
replaces...
was he asked to come, or do you think Vince was doing a favor?
I don't know. Well, maybe we'll get into that. Maybe
Sure.
you know the story behind that. I don't know how he wound up there, but there he was, and in a role that could never have succeeded anyway. You're replacing Bobby the Brain Heenan. You're going to fail. I don't care what your gimmick is. You're going to fail when you're trying to replace Bobby the Brain Heenan. But he came in as Coach, and you could tell even Mr. Perfect was not into this, by the way. And he did what he could with it. He was a good talker, in my opinion. Nothing like, no Ric Flair, but he did fine with the role with what he could do with it, but that role was doomed from the start. Unfortunately, I think that's how you remember him, is pretty much his Coach. But... in his prime, John Tolos was a main event heel who did wrestle Bruno Sammartino at Madison Square Garden back in, I believe, 1974. It was a one-off. It wasn't like he had a lengthy program with Bruno, but he did manage to wrestle Bruno for the belt at the Garden during Bruno's prime. A really great wrestler, in my opinion. Not a Ric Flair, obviously, not a Bret Hart, but John Tolos deserves much respect. And that's the deal with John Tolos. 10-time America's champion, former WWF champion, WWF tag team champion with his brother, and had a lot of other belts from territory to territory, getting belts here and there from the territory days. He's a territory legend, I'll say that much.
Well, I want to be fair here because, again,
Okay.
I'm not the master like you are.
Oh, I'm not the master.
The Golden Greek,
yes.
I watched a couple of matches, like 4 or 5
I tried
matches.
to send you a couple of them.
Right.
Like, look. Okay.
The first thing I thought is,
Here we
how
go.
can someone
Oh, no.
complain about today's wrestling
Yeah.
when, as a fan, I watched some John Tolos matches.
Yeah?
And I think I brought it up to you. If anyone could catch, he's in a match against Jerry Lawler.
At the end of his, later on at the end of his career, pretty much getting there. Go on. Yep. Yep.
He literally gets on the top rope, jumps on Lawler's arm, gets on the jumps on Lawler's arm, gets on top. And I'm thinking to myself, what is this love for John Tolos?
Right.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't think it was such a great... First of all, I wasn't impressed.
Okay.
I watched Bruno.
You didn't really watch the best. You must have been a little more impressed with the Bruno one, though, right?
I was more impressed with the
Hey,
Bruno
he's
one,
in his
but then
prime
again,
there.
not over...
Okay. Right.
First of all, the
You're not
guy
doing
didn't look
backflips.
like a Greek god to me.
Okay.
He looked like the...
Did Spirios Arion look like a Greek god to
Yes,
you?
he did.
Very interesting, because I don't think either of them exactly epitomized Greek god.
Well, I thought
But
he
that's-
looked more like a deli counter guy, but that's... I mean, I'm being honest. I'm being honest
You
here.
know who I think John Tolos looked like? John Saxon. Do you know who that is?
No.
He's a famous actor. He was like in the Bruce Lee movies, I think. That's who he reminded me of a little bit. I don't know why.
I was not impressed. I was not
Saxon,
impressed by John Tolos' wrestling skills.
Okay. Would you say he was bad though? Be fair. Think about that. Was he serviceable?
Here's what I do.
What you were watching?
This is what I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'm glad that you chose the wrestlers for our first segment.
Yeah.
Because if you would have chose anybody but The Miz, we shouldn't even have the segment because Tolos wouldn't win. He has an opportunity against The Miz.
Against The Miz, okay.
So good choice.
Okay.
Again, I'm not getting this infatuation with John Tolos.
Okay,
All right?
interesting. Well, again, it's your exposure to him, though. Again, you didn't catch what I caught when I caught it. I started watching in 79, 1980 or so, and Tolos was still a main event heel in Los Angeles, and I loved his work.
So he had the it factor in Los Angeles.
He did.
Did he have the it factor here in the Northeast?
No, because he never really... Well, I can't answer that. The ones who can answer that are the ones who saw him in 1974 in this area. We were too small.
Right, I get it.
What I did see, I sent to you, and I was impressed with his physique at the time. I thought he looked great.
Okay.
I don't think he looked bad at all.
I didn't think he looked bad. I just thought he looked like
great.
a regular... Next to Bruno, he looked like nothing.
Listen, John Tolos is not Magnificent Morocco.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? John Tolos is not Greg Valentine.
Gotcha.
John Tolos, to me, is not even Ken Patera, as far as pizzazz and aura and all those other things. But John Tolos was a really convincing bad guy who you hated, and he made you hate him. And he didn't make you hate him with annoyance the way The Miz does, but we'll get to that when we break down The Miz. The Miz annoys people. Tolos actually generated true heel hatred, and that's an old-school characteristic, and that's what I loved about him. I thought he was very old-school villain.
So you give him a good it factor. Wrestling, you're giving him a good wrestling.
You want to break that down? I mean, what do we got here again? What's the...
Well, let me go over something else. Let's think about something else.
Okay.
So I said, let me listen to some old John Tolos interviews.
Okay.
And basically, it's some dude going,
Shouting.
I'm gonna break your leg.
Right.
I was like,
his tonality
oh my
was
God.
good.
All right. It was just
tonality
old
was good.
school garbagey mic skills.
I didn't consider it cardboard cookie cutter, though.
Well, I'll tell you what. I also watched when Perfect brings him in as coach.
Right.
And it was
Perfect's
as bad then
Perfect
when I
was
watched
cool.
it last night is when it happened.
It was terrible.
I got to tell you what, as coach, the best thing he ever did was give Bill Alfonso a gimmick, dude. I got to be honest with you.
Bill Alfonso made it work much better, though. Wasn't even close.
Dude, I'm sorry. Not impressed by John Tolos.
Understood.
Okay? I'm not impressed by John Tolos.
You know what? Let's get to the Mike versus... We'll get to it when we finish The Miz now, you know? You want me to read about The Miz, too?
So our
I'm going to be exhausted.
The next contender, you got The Miz, brother.
Oh, my God, I got The Miz, too.
Our next competitor is Michael Gregory Mizan. What is Mizani? Whatever the hell it is. Go ahead. You do go with it.
Michael Gregory Mizanin. Wow, he's going to be 41 this year. You know, people may not realize this, but The Miz has been around with the WWF, I think, for around 17 years. You know, he's signed with the WWE and of course he performs on the Raw brand currently. You know, he's holding the Money in the Bank contract again. He's got it back again, right, Mike?
He does?
I think he lost it, but somehow he got it back again somehow. You folks may remember that he started way back on MTV's The Real World back to New York in 2001. Then he was on more of these Real World shows. Then eventually, wow, what's this, Battle of the Network reality stars? This guy's all over the place. Then he somehow winds up on Tough Enough.
Let's not forget he's with Maurice. Right there, you get tons of street cred right there.
Absolutely. That, you know, he winds up on Tough Enough, and this basically launches his career with the WWE. We know about Maurice. Wasn't she the Diva Search too, or something like that?
She was.
You know, as far as transcending, The Miz can say this much. That's for sure. You know, The Miz and Mrs. is successful. It's a successful show. Not everybody in wrestling goes into a reality show and succeeds. I can think of the Bellas, obviously, have succeeded, and The Miz has succeeded. Anybody else gone into a reality show and succeeded? Like, really succeeded? Hogan did.
Hogan show.
Hogan wrote the template for it, to tell you the truth. But not too many people...
Might have ruined his career, though. But
yeah, well, that didn't work out so great for him either, that's for sure. So we know about all of this and you know, what he's done entertainment-wise, and Vince probably loves that factor, plus being in the Marine movies and all of that. But let's get to the wrestling, okay? Here's where things are, you know, make it interesting. We know that he's good on the microphone. He's also won a total of 19 championships in the WWE. He's won the world title one time. He defeated John Cena at WrestleMania.
The last great professional wrestler.
Well, he could be the last great superstar.
Fair enough.
You know, that way, you know, everybody's getting his T-shirts from here to, you know, Serbia. He's got the Intercontinental title 8 times, as far on top of his WWE Championship, United States Champion twice, 8 tag team championships. Now, of course, in this day and age, they pass around the title like it's hot potatoes. But he has held everything.
So I give Tolos a little break on that for sure.
Yeah, you gotta. You know. What else has he done? Well, Money in the Bank, we know about that one. He's won it before in the past, too. This is impressive, and say what you want, but as far as the nerds, you can't really fight this one. PWI 500 in 2011. Miz was number 1.
Wow.
The Wrestler of the Year. And that comes from Pro Wrestling Illustrated, who we both irreversibly respect, obviously, with their history. It's not so cut and dry, folks. It's not so cut and dry as you think it would be. The Miz has an outstanding career. Whether you like him or hate him, look, you got to remove the
Who's a better wrestler?
The emotional
Matt Skills, Pharaoh.
We're just gonna get to it.
Just
Why don't you tell me what you think of the Miz first before you basically declare him the winner? Because I can see where you're going with this.
What I think of the
so
Miz,
much for tradition, so much for our boys, so much for.
I think the Miz started poorly.
Yeah.
Gained my respect.
Yes.
And now is ending poorly.
And now he's ending poorly.
Dude, I cannot stand this Morrison Miz thing. I'm like,
you and everybody else.
Now I like Ms. and Mrs. or whatever. I love that show.
No, I can't. No,
I love that show.
I will not say that, but I will say that when they were together in the ring, Maurice and Miz, that was probably his high point.
Anywhere Maurice, it's a
is
win.
that all it takes?
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's Maurice. You're over, Miz.
Done.
That's true, though. He was over when she was by his side.
So, I'm not a fan of Miz either.
Right.
But I'm going to weigh in.
Yeah.
Better wrestler, Miz.
Wait, let's go slow here.
Okay, good.
Better
Matt Skills.
Why don't we do it in order? Wasn't it Mike Skills first?
Go ahead. You're in lead here, bro.
Who's got the better Mike Skills? Well, you know what? I really don't want to upset anybody, but the facts are the Miz has better Mike Skills.
Agreed.
He's got better Mike Skills.
Agreed.
Come on, the guy can talk for hours. Not that you would want him to. So I'll grant you that. But I do think he's a more well-rounded.
Russell Campbell says Miz highly understated and underrated.
That's fair. People can say that, and I wouldn't disagree with that.
All right, so we got Miz on the Mike Skills. What else you got?
All right, Matt Skills.
Miz.
No, this is where.
Come on,
no,
bro.
actually, no. This is where I'm going to call this one a stalemate because neither one of them.
It's a stalemate.
They're both just serviceable to me in the ring. Neither one of them are Rob Van Dam, Bret Hart, or whatever. They're both serviceable.
By the way, one thing Bon Lewis says out there, fun fact about The Miz.
Yeah.
He's the second longest holder of the Intercontinental title based on continuous days, held 597. Only Pedro Morales was held the title longest, 619. And Bon, if you want to learn a little more about that, go to our past video, The History of the Intercontinental title. I think you will love that show.
Yep. Great point, too. Thanks for the comment.
You're going with Tolos on the mat, huh?
No, I'm calling that one a stalemate because again, I don't think one was greater than the other. I just think they're both serviceable. Neither one of them are Jimmy Snuka or something. There's nothing outstanding about either of their.
One of them is Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, there's no pizzazz in either. They're serviceable.
Neither one of them is Frankie Williams.
Okay, what's next after Mike Skills and Matt Skills? You got this criteria in front of you or no?
I don't know. Hold on, let me pop
How
it up.
about the impact they? What was it? How did you word it? The impact that they left behind.
Well, on the legacy that they left on wrestling. I'm pulling it up for you right now, Farrah. Hold on, buddy. I'm getting there, bro. Overall influence on the industry.
I got to be honest. I don't
really think either one has.
Right, I'm going to call that. I don't think that either one of them have had a huge. I'm sorry. No, that's another stalemate. And we can have stalemates. You don't have to.
Back of the baseball card. That's not. It's a no-brainer, bro.
That's the Miz.
Right?
Yeah, whether you want to agree with it or not, I'm sorry, you can't compare the
and it factor. I don't even think either one has it factor.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Anyway. Yeah, well, I'll agree. Is this a draw?
No, because you've got back of the baseball card,
right?
And so you've got Mike Skills,
right? So
and you've got draws all the way rest down,
right? So it's basically 2, 0, and 3 draws.
So we're going to give the official win.
Got to be to the Miz.
To the Miz.
Yeah.
Power, you want to tell people next week what the head-to-head competition will be?
I hear something.
I can't believe these guys chose The Miz over John Tolos.
Man, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it's not like we were like expecting one to absolutely slam the other, and honestly, he didn't. He didn't win all 5 categories.
All right, so which way you going next week? Who is on board next week, my friend?
Next week.
I didn't put it in the script, sorry.
Did we even talk about it yet, or you just want me to wing something off the
Well, you
cuff?
did. Randy Orton against
Orton?
Mil Mascaras.
I did that.
Yes, you did.
Did I really?
So next week, everybody,
Wow.
it is Randy
What a
Orton
matchup.
against Mil Mascaras.
Man, I'm a genius. Wow.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.